Morning with a host of community activists, anxiously awaiting patients and family members, and a whole host of senators and representatives who have worked for months on this issue. We are here this morning to say that the governor and the Republican legislature's failure to act on the transplant problem in Arizona is indefensible. In the last 2 weeks, Governor Brewer has proposed increasing spending on a host of corporate bailouts and tax cuts, including a giveaway of over $25 million to an unelected body who will do whatever it wants with those dollars. At the same time, she continues to claim that we do not have the $1.2 million it costs per year to literally save the lives of Arizonans who are waiting for transplants. This is hypocrisy at its very worst. While we all acknowledge that Arizona is in a state of great fiscal crisis, we also must acknowledge that a budget is nothing more than a reflection of the values and the priorities of those who make it. And Governor Brewer's budget and the Republicans' action this session has shown very clearly that their values and priorities do not lie with the individuals in Arizona whose lives depend on these transplants. It is also important to note, individuals who are here today, that myself and every other state elected official who stands here today or sits inside this building, including Governor Brewer, is welcome and covered for these very same transplants. So while Governor Brewer claims that we cannot afford the transplants, and while individuals like Representative Kavanaugh claim these transplants are not effective, the fact is very simple. That if I needed one of those transplants, or Governor Brewer needed one of those transplants, we would get it and it would be covered. The bottom line is that what is happening here in Arizona is quite simply the governor and Republican legislators have chosen to leave these people to die. These individuals will continue to die until the state of Arizona rectifies this problem. While Governor Brewer claims that this problem is the fault of the federal government, that is obviously false. No other state in the country denies these transplants to its citizens. No other state in the country. At any moment, Governor Brewer could utilize stimulus dollars out of her own account to fund these transplants. And at any moment, the state legislature could take action to restore these transplants. Myself, Senator Shapira, Representative Anna Tovar, and a host of other members have offered numerous solutions to the transplant problem, including solutions that do not cost a dime of state dollars. We have found new money that pays for these transplants with money left over. So when Governor Brewer and Republicans claim there is no money, they are not telling the truth. Today we have a host of individuals, both medical providers, patients and family members, and additional legislators to talk about this issue. It is my honor and my privilege to introduce Dr. Jonathan Weisbuch.
Thank you, Kyrsten. It's really a pleasure to be here. I have the opportunity of dealing with this issue several years ago when I was the state director in Wyoming of the State Health and Social Services Agency, and received on a Friday afternoon a phone call from Denver simply asking me, would I authorize a heart transplant for a 14-year-old girl from Gillette, Wyoming, who was eligible for the Wyoming medical care Medicaid program. Of course, I knew that in the previous legislative session, the Wyoming legislature, like this one, had ruled out the funds that we had asked for transplants, so that I could not authorize that transplant over the phone. So I called in my director, or my deputy director of the Medicaid program, and asked him, is there a solution? Because the governor, I knew the governor in the state of Wyoming in 1988 was not going to let a constituent of his die on his watch if she didn't have to die. So I called in the deputy director of Medicaid, or of the welfare program, and he gave me a solution which is so simple it almost makes us cry. All that is needed to change the policy of the state is for a letter to be signed by the governor and sent to the regional office of Medicaid, or DHHS, in this case it was in Denver, simply saying that for this next quarter, next fiscal quarter, we in Arizona have changed our policy and are now offering transplants. I called the governor, he approved. I called the hospital, I gave them our approval. 1 week later, the little 14-year-old girl received her heart transplant, recovered, went home to Gillette, graduated from high school, graduated from the University of Wyoming, went on to law school at the University of Wyoming, and today is practicing law in the state of Wyoming for the small cost of $25,000, actually less, that the state treasury paid for her transplant, which was then matched by federal funds of over $50,000 to $60,000. That girl's life was saved, and Wyoming now has a practicing lawyer to carry out the responsibilities that are needed in that state. The cost was trivial. The benefit, immeasurable. That is what this governor could do if she had the willpower or the desire to save lives and protect the people of this state.
Or the heart.
There is no reason not to do it. Even if the legislature won't support it, the governor with one letter and one signature can tell the regional officer of DHS that we are changing our policy with regard to transplants. We can serve the 100 that are, or 96 that are now on the list. We can save their lives, or save most of them, give them an opportunity to further contribute to this state. But no, this state is saying, poor people need not apply for the gift that many of us have right here in our pocket with a card that says, if I'm in a crash and I'm in terminal condition, give my organs away to the poor, to others who need them. But in this state, the poor need not apply for that gift that all of us would love to provide if we were in that situation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The next speaker is Governor Pennington, but I'd like